Mentally retarded, they are people. They come in both sexes and in all sizes, shapes, creeds, and colors. Wherever people live, there also live the mentally retarded.
You dumb, lard-ass, ludtard morons. You still don't get that the answer is the communication of spiritual knowledge and the communication of natural law and objective morality to the mindless, fucktard, zombie horde masses of this fucking planet.
What's up, everybody? Good morning. This is the Arabian Pleb. I'm here with my co-host, Cosmic Surfer. This is Chronicles of the Great Retardation. How are you, everybody? How are you there, Cosmic Surfer?
I'm really good, thanks, mate. Ready to talk about some aliens and some plasma drones. And you should all be scared. You should all give your rights away. What could it possibly be? There's nukes going to go off any time. We should give the government emergency powers. And you're all solipsis because you could not possibly know the truth because it is so far beyond you. But if you just trust the experts, they will sort it out so you can sleep easy. Just delegate your freedoms to them.
Well said. Well said. Oh, classic, dude. Oh my god, isn't it crazy? What's going on? What's going on, bro? There's drones in the sky.
We've been umming and ahhing about doing a podcast on the drones in America for a while. We also wanted to wait a little bit rather than trying to, be breaking news or whatever. We are still getting started, but we're having a good crack here and we try and do our best. And, we've watched, some recaps by Ashton Forbes with Professor Simon. That was good. We watched Ashton talked to Clint Russell on Liberty Lockdown as well, and this video that you've got lined up here is he played on that as well. And then we had there was a clip that came out today with Joe Rogan talking to, I forget the guy's name, but a pilot. So yeah, I think that it's American take. I think that it's my I don't have any great takes beyond what Ashton has. I think it's private military contractors. I don't think they're telling people the truth. I think that it's advanced technology. They're probably testing out the technology and weapons that, they could be sending messages. The government may or may not know if it's private military contractors, but, they're not acting in a way where they, feel threatened or whatever. They're not trying to shoot stuff down. And yeah, that's a few comments. What do you got?
I was listening to Dave Smith yesterday. I liked what him and Robbie were sort of throwing around. He was just like, he wasn't acting like he knew exactly what it was, but he's like, dude, they're definitely drones, because he lives in New Jersey. So he said after he put his kids to sleep, him and his wife are out on their veranda or whatever, looking up at the sky, watching these things and filming it with their phones, and they'll yeah, they were like, it's definitely drones. They're not planes, you know, they're not fucking Boeing 737s or whatever. And his take on it was like, if it was an adversary, the government would be fucking shooting it out of the sky immediately, and freaking out and trying to blame it on Iran or Russia or something like that. So he's like, he had the same take that like it's more than likely them, like their own fucking tech, their own shit, and he was saying it's either one or two things or both. It's either they're testing some sort of technology or testing some sort of new drones or something, or they're testing us, like they're testing the American public to see what the reaction is and how do people respond when we just fly a bunch of drones around them at nighttime, or it's both. So that was his sort of take, and I thought that's probably more or less on the money, in my opinion. Don't really have much more to add other than that.
Yeah, and so the last American Vagabond, Ryan Christensen, he did a show with Derek Bros yesterday as well. And you know, so Elon Musk tweeted like there's like drone swarms coming like only a couple of months ago, so he has mentioned it. Cliff High, actually, I'm not sure if you're aware of Cliff High, but
my mate DJ Handicap, shout out to DJ Handicap. He was telling me exactly this. Yeah, go ahead, tell us about Cliff High.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of months ago, he was talking about this potential as well. And then you've got this link with Palantir as well, which is, yeah, of course, Palantir, you know, of course, they're talking about drones when all this stuff's going on. But yeah, I'm just not as, I mean, maybe it's because it went on in the US, I'm not as caught up in it as what other people are, but I just think that it's advanced tech that is part of the fuckery system, because of the US election changeover. And they're probably trying to ramp shit up or kind of mess with people or do psychological get psychological data points on reactions in preparation for a future event. And I'm not trying to, you know, oh, something's coming, oh, you've got to get more scared. No, this is about just kind of realizing what's going on so you can, you know, come from an empowered state. But yeah, I mean, so I don't really trust anyone that says that they know what's going on. I mean, and even people that know the science, like Ashton is saying, there's like a number of possibilities. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And I know, yeah, so there's no great hot take here from me, other than the fuckery and advanced technology. But you know, I mean, the guy on Joe Rogan today was saying that he reckons that they're coming from over the ocean, but he doesn't know if they're coming out of the water or like, you know, some kind of secret base or whatever. And he also reckons that they've been happening around this time for the last 3 years, over what's the CIA headquarters, like Langley, yeah. So, and of course, you know, the sightings and the military bases and all of that. So, you know, it could be the COG, continuity of government stuff, that Daniel Sis from Dark Journalists looks at as well. So, you know, he's being on Alex Jones and talking about that too.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? They all seem to be, these drones or, you know, whatever the fuck, seem to be flying over in and around military bases. And it's like, well, if it was something that the government wasn't aware of, like, they'd be fucking freaking out. They'd be, and who was that guy that I don't know his name, but you shared it with me this morning. There was a clip of him on Joe Rogan, and he was sort of saying the same thing. It was like, you know, fucking if it was something that they weren't aware of, they'd be in skiffs or whatever the fuck, in private rooms, freaking out. And if it was a rogue nuke, whatever, like the government would be, you know, pretty fucking, I don't know, just like wigging out. And
yeah, it's Ryan Graves is the guy's name. Yeah, I think I think we need to start asking ourselves better questions rather than being like, oh, what is it? Oh, I don't know. It's like, okay, um, so drones. So then we need to get into like AI. We need to get into advanced technology. And when we say advanced technology, so they're also talking about the potential of keeping their heat signatures hidden. So there has been Ashton thinks there's a link between cloaking technology and zero point energy as well. So when we're talking about advanced technology, we're talking about plasma, we're talking about zero, we're talking about new propulsion devices. Um, and then, you start getting into the detection systems as well, because you're starting talking about lasers and radar and these kind of things. And depending on what kind of level you're talking about, you're either just talking about like mundane, normal military stuff, or you're talking about, you know, um, inducing more advanced exotic stuff using repurposing existing technology and stuff like that. So, yeah, we wanted to talk about that, bring it up because, we started this show talking about advanced technology and natural law and morality and all these things and how they all link together. And I think it started after we started the show. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what was already happening, but I think this is an example of the stuff that we're talking about coming to the normies and the masses and the public. And if you don't have that context, people can go into fear. They can go into different states of not knowing. But if you've been following this advanced tech trend, you kind of like, oh, well, that's a given.
Even like just a little bit of the history, like even Operation Paperclip. I've heard Passio just go deep into detail about the Nazis and their advanced tech that they were working on, Nikola Tesla type technology. And then Operation Paperclip, the Americans are incorporating a bunch of these top Nazi scientists into their system, and more than likely whatever technologies that they were working on. And that's not even going back that far, like going back to the 40s. So that's just something that just for like people who maybe aren't totally hip to this to just look up Operation Paperclip. That's like disclosed, declassified, a declassified operation that they can't pretend that that didn't happen.
Yeah, and so the whole thing with this, if people don't know the alien law or whatever, this is all to do with Project Bluebeam, which is basically what people have been saying for a long time, which is using technology for a fake alien invasion. And again, if you know like the history of these decades and longer or whatever of the advanced technology, then it's really no surprise. But you have we have had quite a lot of advancement in AI just to the public, even though it's been around for a long time. And in China, like you see all those drone swarm things going around in China that were a few months ago. Now all of a sudden we've got this. So it would not surprise me if it's using AI. It would not surprise me if it's using different propulsion. It would not surprise me if it was private military contractors. It wouldn't surprise me if it was military, but I'm leaning towards private military contractors as well.
Lockheed
like
Martin.
shadowy operations to unsettle things. Different factions with the handover. Especially if Trump's talking about his uncle and releasing stuff when he gets into power, which is only a month away. So, who knows? I mean, we can speculate, and I do like speculating. I know you love speculation only with no evidence. So,
it's my whole game. Hey, I've got a clip, just a different one. Not the. We'll go to the one that that Ashton shared on Clint's show about the technology to do with hypersonic missiles and potentially, or not even potentially. It's like what Russia is using. But I've got this other clip. It's to do with the Cliff High thing and his predictions. This is something that, again, shout out to DJ Handicap. This is something that he showed me last night. Why don't I just go over to that? Because I'd love to get your thoughts on this, man. I'll try and like cut it short because it goes for about 8 minutes. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but we'll just get to the crux of what they're talking about. Let's do it.
Speaking of this stuff, I have a really, really weird story, and I really tried to research it today to see like his exact quote on this.
Okay.
Could not find it.
Okay. So it's 100% confirmed is what you're saying.
So it's that whole comment, what's your source, bro? Just trust me.
We got this.
All right.
Here we go.
So this guy, his name is Cliff High. And in 1997, he developed this software program called WebBot. And what it would do, it would scan the entire internet and it would collect data, and he called it predictive linguistics.
Predictive linguistics.
Yes, and the whole point of it was so he would collect data, it would make predictions for the stock market, for it to crash, go up, whatever. But then he like delved into it a little more, and it's just like, let's see like what else it can predict.
Yeah.
It's basically like the preliminary of like AI.
Right.
True, yeah.
But in 2009, he ran the program, the WebBot, and it came up with a prediction of the future.
1997.
No, 2009.
2009. Okay.
So this software is still running.
It is
12 years later.
Yeah.
Or,
So what he does,
Yeah.
he collects the data, and it's the predictions for the stock market, and then he sells it. So it's like
okay,
it's not
like a market
free thing.
research almost.
Yeah,
type
yeah.
Thing.
Also,
Okay.
good math. 13. That was 12 years. That was pretty good.
That was really good.
That was really good.
How many toothpicks? So yeah, in 2009 he ran it, and it came up with a prediction of the future, but there had to be a trigger to have the prediction come true.
Set
early.
it in motion.
Yeah, set it in motion. And it said that when this trigger happens, then 39 days later, this prediction will come true. 2009. What this software came up with was that there was going to be a battle in the air with the military and UFOs, and that even UFOs would be fighting UFOs.
Whoa.
So like a literal like
A Star Wars.
yes. Here's the crazy part.
We're not even
now
there
we're
yet.
there.
Okay.
So the trigger for this, when the trigger happens, 39 days later, UFO battle.
Yeah.
2009.
Yes.
The trigger was Donald Trump would be interviewed by Joe Rogan.
Bro, no.
Nuh-uh.
No way, dude. That's crazy.
And then when he saw it on the software, he's like, he dismissed it. He's just like, I don't even know what this is.
It's obviously broken. Why would Donald Trump be a president?
Because Joe Rogan, he had a podcast in 2009. That's when,
Yeah.
when he
I was
like,
gonna
first
say,
started.
like, he wasn't just doing Fear Factor at that point.
No,
still.
he started the podcast. The podcast was like maybe a year or so in, like
Early
in
days,
2009.
near prime Rogan.
And so it said when Joe Rogan interviews Donald Trump on his podcast, 39 days later, which would be for us
Yeah, soon.
December 3rd. Oh no. There would be a battle in the air.
Who is this Cliff High guy, dude?
All right, so that's the crux of it there, bro. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my first thought is how would the software know that Joe Rogan was going to be that popular in 2009? There wouldn't be any data or insight to know that he was going to become so huge that he would interview a president. So that part of my
But I think I don't think they said specifically President Trump would be interviewed on Joe Rogan. He just said that the software was just saying that Donald Trump, if Donald Trump gets interviewed by Joe Rogan, 39
Yeah, but
days
in
later.
2009, that would be like his software saying that if we interview,
No, because Rogan was like the host of Fear Factor. He had a bit of a profile, and then like UFC as well. But yeah, it's wild, dude. I don't know. I'm not taking it at face value at all,
I'm
but
not
wild.
calling bullshit. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying that
Trying to figure it
hard
out.
for me to. Well, it's based on data. It's doing predictive linguistics based on data. So I'm trying to figure out what data there would be in 2009 that Joe Rogan would be seeing off a trigger.
Yeah, fair
When he's
question.
just starting when he's just starting the podcast.
Mm.
So I went 39 days from the Joe Rogan interview. I'm guessing that's now, or when the drone started.
Close to it. They said that 39 days after the Trump Rogan interview would have been the 3rd of December.
3rd of December.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know exactly when all these drones started popping up, but it's roughly, if you were give them the benefit of the doubt, it's kind of roughly the same time period.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's speculative, but I mean, like, Cliff High's been around for a long time. He's got a lot of stuff right. So he was even talking about the drones. There's an actually, not sure if I sent it to you. Let me just have a look in a second. But yeah, he made there was one that popped up on X where a couple of months ago this is 2 minutes long, and he was talking about the drones.
Wow.
Yeah. So what did you think of it?
It's pretty wild. It's kind of how it played out, but yeah, I don't know, dude. I've got no idea. It's interesting to entertain and to have fun with it, I guess. Like, I'd like to see now. I want to follow this Cliff High guy and follow his predictive linguistics, or what's the thing actually called? It was called
I've just pulled it up, bro. I sent it to you in our chat. And
WebBot.
And in his video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just go to that.
Cliff High has been around in the woo-woo circles for a long time, so I'm pretty familiar with him.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of him until actually Toby and Dale on the Waking World podcast. They were talking about him yesterday. That was kind of the first time that this all happened for me yesterday. And so, yeah, I hear the boys, Toby and Dale on the Waking World podcast, talking about this Cliff High guy and some of his predictions. I don't know if they were specifically saying the Donald Trump and then the drone thing. But then I caught up with my mate, DJ Handicap, last night, and then he was showed me this clip and was talking about Cliff High, and I was going, oh, fucking what the fuck? What? Twice in one day? So what's this? So we want to play this?
Yeah.
Let's do it, brats. Let me just get it all queued up. Being super professional. Okay.
I actually thought that's what you were playing.
Is this Cliff High?
Yeah.
Ah.
I thought it was. I thought I sent it to you.
Oh, cool. All right, let's do it.
Barely over a month between the temporal marker and the visible contention that will appear in the skies that from the descriptors we had back in 2009 will go to the idea of UFO versus UFO and UFO versus jets. Okay, so like sort of very complex kind of Independence Day kind of shit, right? Nobody will know who the hell is doing what with whom. Now, okay, so you think that's unlikely and so on, as do I. All this shit's always unlikely until it happens. Possible, not probable, right? So anyway, now we have a strange thing where there's swarms of 20-foot drones flying around military bases. So unknown. Nobody knows who owns these drones, who's controlling them. At least they're not telling us guys. I would suspect that the military would be freaking out if they can't see the signals that are directing those drones, and those drones are what is it? A kvass weapon, where one of the, I won't describe it, but basically you set off a group of drones that don't report back to headquarters until they're all done.
Whoa.
So that was a couple of months ago.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah.
Barely over a month.
Sorry. I kind of get it.
Yeah, so advanced technology, mate. And watch the space, I guess. We'll keep reporting on it. I mean, I just wanted to talk about it. I feel like a bit like a retard, if I'm being really honest. I don't really like it when I'm
It's the
like,
name of the
when I
show.
bring up stuff. I'm like, well, I like calling other people retard. I don't like being the retard. Like, I play poker, so I don't like being the donk at the table. So if you don't know who the donk is, you're the donk. So if you don't know who the retard is, you're the retard.
Well, yeah, I'm a self-deprecator, so I just know myself that I'm at least semi-retarded. You know, everyone else is retarded. I'm semi-retarded, so I got that on them.
You're on the journey out of the great retardation, my friend.
Thank you. Yes. Pull me out of it, Nick. Let's go.
No one's coming to save us, mate. You've got to do it for yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Mark Passio, natural law. Don't ever forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to talk to today, mate. I just wanted to do these episodes, keep them ticking over, and you know, it's important that we talk about the drones because it is related to what we're talking about, and you know, there's clearly this stuff going on with continuity of government, you know, shadow government, you know, especially in the US. We're in Australia, so we're not on the ground or anything like that. You know, but I mean, it is interesting with the drone part of it, with, you know, the link with China there. No one's really talking about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say other than, you know, what we already have. Is there anything else you wanted to cover today?
Just one other thing, excuse me. Just one other thing. I'll show the clip that Ashton showed on Clint's show to do with the hypersonic missiles and the technology and the plasma that's being utilized in order to get to these Mach 5, Mach 10 speeds. So why don't we quickly show that? Maybe we can comment on that and then wrap her up after that. So, yep, cool. Let's do it. Let's get over there.
Professor Paul Ziz was head of hypersonic research during his career at the McDonnell Douglas Aerospace Corporation.
And these were the concepts we were looking at 30 years ago.
He has no doubt hypersonic aircraft are already operating.
Well, I think the technology for flying 6 to 12 times the speed of sound existed 30 years ago. And all that's happened in the last 30 years is that the airplanes have gotten lighter and they've gotten easier to build from the challenges that we had. So there's been people that have seen these, and they all look very similar. They're triangular-shaped vehicles.
Assigned to Ajax, Professor Paul Ziz has tracked down scientific papers to piece together the puzzle. The energy bubble, or air spike, carves a path through the air by ripping electrons from molecules to form a plasma. This forms a cushion between the shockwave and the aircraft's skin.
The Russians have induced a cold plasma by means of a plasma torch that introduces electrons. It makes the air electrically conductive, very low energy in the front of this vehicle. And in doing so, in a mechanism that we do not yet understand or cannot calculate, the strength of the shock wave reduces in half. So the entire vehicle now flies through the air at half the drag it would have if it did not have the plasma torch here.
As well as reducing drag, this layer of electrically charged air helps propel the aircraft. Powerful magnets accelerate the charged air past the craft, generating almost half the total thrust. This futuristic propulsion is called magnetohydrodynamics, or MHD, and it could propel Ajax to incredible speeds. Since Professor Ziz began probing Ajax, the curtains of secrecy have descended again, but a few more tantalizing details have leaked out.
There are some interesting tracks out of a radar site in Sweden, about a year apart, of what I've been told have been the demonstrator flying about 12 times the speed of sound. And the second flight was a prototype flying maybe 16 times the speed of sound that flew all the way across Russia. Look at the SR-71. It was built all of.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah. So
what they're doing and the way that Ashton describes it, and I feel like an asshole every time Ashton says, so what they've got some kind of a laser where it's putting a plasma sheath around the vehicle or the plane to reduce the inertia or the drag. And so it's changing the electrons or the ions. And yeah, so it's creating this plasma sheath around it. And both Ashton and Salvatore Pais are saying that plasma is the answer to all. So that's one of the things that I want to hit home here as well, is that plasma is a key for a lot of different things.
Absolutely, bro. Couldn't agree more. It's yeah, it's, I don't know, it's so fucking crazy. And that's the comment that Ashton was making on Clint's show, was just that this technology's out there, like this information about this technology is out there. It's just heavily suppressed. You've got to be able
and this is what suppression looks like.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the scientific papers are out there. There's all these people talking about this technology and teaching these scientific methods, and but it's, you know, it's like you've got to dig to go find it, and if you do, you will find it.
Yep. And I will take the responsibility myself to read more of these papers, because I can within myself know that I don't grasp it as well as I need to. Like, I have watched Ashton enough now to kind of know what resonates, and, you know, Salvatore Pais and Bob Greenyer, Paul Steers, this guy, you know, Hal Purdoff. You've got Ken Shoulders, and then you've got the cold fusion stuff, Fleischmann and those guys from the early 90s. And then, you know, you go back into the Maxwell equations and how they were changed from 20 to 4 or 6 back in the day. And then you've always got Nikola Tesla and those guys. So I know enough to know the names and the papers and to where to look. But if you start talking to me about, you know, explain to me how the plasma sheath works, and, you know, explain to me, you know, some of these concepts, that's where I start getting into buzzwords and start saying, talk to Ashton. So, you know, the only way that, you know, yeah, basically the way that the world has become retarded is that none of us read these papers anymore. And it's pretty easy to keep things suppressed when you change the name from, you know, they remove the ether, and then they use the term cold fusion. They change Maxwell's equations, then they name it LENR for low energy nuclear reactions. And then you've got billions of dollars pouring into hot fusion, which doesn't work. And then, you know, things get debunked, and then you start trying to talk about something, and then people's reactions are like, well, that's already been debunked. And then you start getting into peer-reviewed science, and then you start getting into, you know, the people that, you know, the gatekeepers. And, you know, Hal Purdoff is probably like the leading guy maybe in the world, or one of, and he's probably a gatekeeper. And, you know, that's why I don't really resonate. I mean, good on him for what he's done for the world, maybe. I don't know. Undecided. I won't call him a retard just yet, but I mean, he's got a lot of good stuff out there. And also he hangs around douchebags too, so not sure. But Ashton did say he's got friends that are friends with him, and that he's a company man for life, and he's got no interest in being a whistleblower. Just FYI.
Interesting. Well, yeah, dude. Maybe that's our homework for the next week at least. It's probably going to take me a lot longer because I'm a pretty slow reader. But actually,
did you have that clip by any chance of the? Did you have the? Maybe we'll have to get the timestamp of the video with Clint on the where they're talking about the missile itself, the Oreshnik. missile, Clint asked Ashton about that on the show.
Oh no, sorry, I haven't got that cute. Oh, that's what you were asking me about. I thought you just meant that video that I just showed. Oh, okay, well maybe on the next episode we can lead with that. I'll jot that down. And
that's fine.
Yeah, let's
so
do that.
I just kind of wanted to reiterate, some of these themes, like what I just said about the great retardation, and I come at this from a lot of different angles. I do, I'm very interested in plant medicine and shamanic works and rites of passage and all of that kind of thing. Non-psychedelic medicine, taking mushrooms to improve brain function, and working with certain mushrooms that for a month while absorbing this kind of information, and it helps unlock new neural pathways to be able to absorb this. And I feel like I went really deep for a while there when I was in Sydney, really following Ashton's work and getting into it. And even AI, as much as I'm pretty outspoken about the negative effects of AI, but there's you can really learn a lot from having access to those tools, even though they do try and fuck with you and not give you the straight answers. Like they won't touch 0 point energy. They'll just tell you it's dangerous and shut up.
National security,
unproven, speculative. Most of science says it's shit. But there are ways that you can learn and teach yourself, and I guess I just wanted to, like, we're not trying to be here to be the experts in all of the subjects. We just want to highlight some things, and it's up to you to self-actualize. I'm not here to be anyone's guru. I'm not here to get in my robes and
although you do look good in a robe, Nick.
Yeah, I do wear robes, and I also do like saying spiritual stuff while smoking my tobacco pipe, and I am initiated from doing my Toltec vision quest and all of that. But I also like to take the piss, and I also really dislike cats like that, so I don't want to be that guy. But I will, do a bit of comedy, pretending to be. But like you have to learn for yourself, man. And we're like 100 years in, and you've got planes being wormholed. You've got missiles that are beyond the Iron Dome, or beyond anything that we reasonably know. And then you've got all these drones showing up, and everyone's like, what could it possibly be? I don't know. Where did they come from? It couldn't possibly be ours. It must be aliens. I mean, the military they're not even telling us what's going on. And it's like, there's huge, like I was saying in the last episode, there's huge gaps, and, disclosure is not going to come from people just waiting for some agency to tell us. You've got to forward it yourself. And that's why I really have resonated with Ashton's work, is because he's just calling shit on people because he knows. Once you know, you have a responsibility to share it. And that's how Mark Passio started his podcast, and that's how we're sharing ours. And in all honesty, I was just sitting around trying to talk to people like you, and having serious conversations, and then like talking about what other people think about it. And I'm just kind of like, so what do we, like, we know this is real, right? So what are we going to do now? And then it's like, let's just go on with our life. And it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? How do you fucking look at a plane get wormholed, dive into the technology, learn what it is, and know that we've had 100 years of advanced technology, know that there's like shadow governments, continuity of government, advanced technology, weapons that can blow up the world, and that the reality of the narratives that have been played out on TV are just not even close. And we're just going to be like, oh, look at it get wormholed, and they're not even going to say anything. All right, see you at work on Monday, guys.
Totally,
what
dude.
The fuck is wrong with you retards?
Totally, bro. Hey, I got another clip. How do you
accept that?
And it's totally
that's it.
great, the greatest of retardation. I just want to play this other clip. It's only a minute long. It's of Donald Trump and his reaction to what's going on with these drones. Let me just pull this up.
Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been?
Do you have any reason to think they're?
Well,
so that would be a yes. He has received an intelligence briefing. He knows what's going on, and they know.
The big Don, just letting everyone know that they know what's going on. The president knows.
My uncle, he knew. He saw Tesla's work. Probably revealing what my uncle found. So that's the other thing, man. It's like, how does Trump mention his uncle every time he goes on a show, who was the guy that found all of Tesla's work, and then goes like dig baby dig or whatever, and like, you know,
drill baby
happens.
drill.
Like,
yeah. And going on about nuclear, how we've got to go nuclear. Like, that's where.
And that's where my comments actually. Now that you think about it, I watched Donald Trump on Joe Rogan a few times. I didn't even watch it at the beginning. I was like, I'm not going to watch this crap. I watched it a few times. One of the things that he mentioned, this is where I got this thought from, is that he mentioned the French, and I want to get into French. So, he mentioned the French, their way of doing nuclear, which is like having many smaller nuclear reactors rather than huge ones, because he reckons that takes out the risk. And then when you've got the rebranding of cold fusion to low energy nuclear reactions, that's kind of why I think that what they think that they're going to get away with is to unroll a new energy grid using this technology under the guise of nuclear. And they're going to wait until they've got their pieces in action, and then they're going to, you know, slowly drip out or get it out there and be like, oh, look at what we've got now. And so that's why I'm very motivated to get the truth now, before, you know, not that, you know, us alone are going to do it, but this is why it needs to be spoken about, because I feel like that's what I see anyway. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm speculating, but that's what I think's going to happen. And that's part of that, that comes from intuition. Part of it comes from a lot of different sources, but part of it comes from him talking about that.
That's super interesting, man. I've never really heard anyone saying that, like that nuclear energy could be a distraction, like they're going to roll out 0 point energy and just claim it to be nuclear, you know.
It might not look just like that, so don't like quote me on it like that. But like what happens, and Catherine Austin Fitz talks about this, is that they like the playbook is that they have I forget what they call it, but it's like dual use technology. So they roll it out and like, like for example, the ice cube neutrino detector in Antarctica, which there's been a whistleblower on, Eric Hecker, who says that it can create earthquakes, right? It's another subject worth getting into. But if you talk to a science person or a serious person or whatever about what it is, they'll be like, "Oh no, that's not what it is. It's just detecting neutrinos or whatever they say." And so they will do it in a way where they will call people that say things like, I just said a conspiracy theorist, and I'll say, here, this is, this is nuclear energy, and don't listen to those people. And, because they will be doing nuclear at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just that they won't tell you what's going on beyond that.
Wow.
And so that's how they're able to roll out the technology in plain sight, if you will. And they do that with like a number of things, and the ice cube neutrino detector in Antarctica is the best example that I've got of that, because you can't because they're able just to put people in the alien basket if you start talking about it. Or flat Earth or inner Earth, whatever, all of that kind of stuff. If you start talking about, because Eric Hecker reckons that the Christchurch earthquake was created from Antarctica.
Far out, really.
Yeah,
that's hectic, dude.
Yeah, I recommend you watch a few of his things. He's been on Ashton's show as well.
What's his name again? Sorry.
Eric Hecker, Hecker. And then the last thing I wanted to leave you with is on the geopolitics. If we can do an episode on some France-related stuff related to Russia as well. But I find it interesting that all of this, the interplay with what's going on in Africa. And we mentioned that one time. No, we didn't mention on this show, but we've talked about it, where there's all this kind of previously like French colonies have started going more in the Russia direction, and then all of a sudden France starts popping up in Russia and those kind of things. And French has also got like a rich history with all of this alien tech and nuclear and all of that as well. And then they also came up in the last episode with the AUKUS deal, because we obviously snubbed France for America. So yeah, like France has got some really interesting things going on, whether it's religious, historical stuff, or whether it's Stephen Greer and the alien stuff. They've had national level like UFO kind of conference stuff going on there as well. But they're also super sus. So yeah. It's been great talking to you, mate.
Always great talking to you, brother. Yep, sounds good, man.
And
awesome.
Just so people know, we are constantly upgrading the show, and we unfortunately had to remove the "Let's Get Retarded" song because as we become rich and famous influencers, we don't want people to hold us down for copyright infringement because.
Yeah. God damn it. And it was such a banger, dude. That edit was such a banger with that song. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, well, yeah, but you're totally right. Well, and so just so everybody knows, the music now for the intro that's music that I've created. I created it probably almost 10 years ago now. And then the outro, this new outro that we're going to play, it's also my song. So 100% original, created by me. Come at me, bro.
So when do we get the Great Retardation rap song created by Harrison and his DJ handicap mates?
Oh, calling us out, putting us on the spot.
Where we put all of the conspiracies laid in, and we start popping and it goes for several minutes, and we just truth bomb with some conscious rapping on the Great Retardation.
Dude, you might drag me out of retirement.
Well, I mean, it's it is solstice on Saturday, so there is a 3-day timeline to release it because that would be the magical peak time to release such a creative work.
No way. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm that quick. Yeah. Far out. It takes me a long time to do anything, but fuck, dude. That's pretty fun to play around with. It's been a long time. It's been a very long time.
All right, dude.
Andy's going to hear this and he's going to go fucking start twisting my arm. Let's fucking go, bro. Let's do it. He's got his deck set up.
Summer solstice, or you are not spiritual and you are retarded.
All right, on that, thank you very much, Cosmic Surfer. Thank you, everybody, all our listeners, anyone out there who's listening to this. Peace out.
Ciao.
And here's what it is. This is actually what the true great work is now. It is the arduous task of influencing other people to go through the very same process of change, of positive change in consciousness that you have gone through. It is to help them to realize that in supporting and condoning the legitimacy of authority and government, in other words, man's law, that what they have actually been supporting and condoning is the legitimacy of slavery. Truth is objective. That means that it's not dependent upon the perceptions of human beings. No one wants to hear that. That is a direct assault, a direct frontal assault on the human ego. What truth is that which does not waver. It's there. It's always been there. It's always going to be there. Nothing anybody does can change what has happened. I'm talking about the events that have taken place in the past and are taking place in the present. That's all. And guess what? That's all the truth is. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Imagine these white lines that do not waver as truth. And imagine that the perception that is set against the truth, their ability to perceive what has occurred and what is occurring, is what I would refer to as consciousness. Okay? Consciousness is a being's ability to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to those patterns. Meaning you have an accurate understanding of what's taking place within and around you, or you have an inaccurate understanding of what's taking place in and around you. The higher the frequency, the more in tune with truth we are. What would happen if this frequency became infinitely high? What would it become? It would be indistinguishable from a line. And therefore, someone would be aligned to that which is.